BitClout because, you know, it's like a clouded story. Before I was clouded,
Yeah. I
then
mean, I guess for me, it's just realizing that there could be this idea that speculation can replace advertising is very, very powerful. And I think that the initial, the freedom to invest in creators was powerful. But like, I remember just making my username and not even knowing what that meant. I mean, I didn't even, who am I bought all my coins at the beginning. I didn't even know I was supposed to buy my coins. Right. And then I think it was kind of like hitting those milestones of like, okay, like, wow, why is my coin 2,000? Why is my coin 5,000? Okay, wait, can I really take this thing far? I remember being in a meeting. We somehow still have a record label, a music management company. I don't really know how because I'm very focused at this point on building different things, but I still have a bunch of employees over there. And there was an artist they wanted me to meet. And so I meet this artist, and the artist is amazing. And I'm in the car. And at this point, I'm completely addicted to BitClout, right? And I'm in the car, like jamming his music. And my Telegram starts blowing up that Craig has started this campaign to propel me into the top 10. And I was just kind of like, okay, I kind of got to get out of this meeting because I need to be on BitClout supporting that, right? And thanking people. And back in the days of where you used to like screenshot every time a whale put any amount of money into you. I mean, I guess people still do it, but there's just not like those first few days are like just really active. And yeah, I remember even going out to dinner with my wife that night. We hadn't gone on a date in like 3 weeks because I was just BitClouting like crazy. And I remember like all I wanted to do was be with the community. Like I was upset that I wasn't like hosting a clubhouse room that night. Like I was upset being on a date with my wife because I wanted to give back to the community that was like supporting me during those 3 weeks at such a high level. So I think that was like very cool. It was cool to see everybody in Miami. Amazing to be on exchanges and being able to tell, all these people that it's that have said it's a scam, that it's not a scam. And then I guess one of the memories that's kind of crazy, when Mark was saying about the YouTube video, like I was hoping to make a bunch of YouTube videos, but I don't have the tenacity that Mario has in that respect, I guess. But I do love creating and writing. And when BitClout first, launched, I don't know if everyone knows this, but it originally was this like timer on a website, and it just said like, what is BitClout and buy BitClout? Those were your only two options. And, Diamond Hands had put this very specific line on the site. I didn't know Diamond Hands at all, by the way, until like 6 to 8 weeks into the site. I'd never talked to him. I didn't know anything. Right. And he had this like, please don't share with anybody yet, an option to buy BitClout, an option to learn about BitClout, which took you to the original BitClout white paper. If you have never read the BitClout white paper, it's quite interesting. It's just bitcloutwhitepaper.com. You can go check it out. It's only 4 pages. It's really cool. But so the marketplace opens and it's like janky and not working or whatever. And it kind of crashes. Not kind of, it crashed. Like you couldn't do shit. And a bunch of your transactions reverted and you thought you had 10 Joe Rogans for like $600 and now you didn't or whatever. And my brother and we'd been on together because I had sent out this text message to like 100 people in my network, because since it said, please don't share with anybody yet, I knew that at noon you were allowed to share it with people. So I thought, okay, let me get ahead of this because I don't know if this is the next Facebook or the next pets.com. And it's just a joke of a crypto company. I don't know, but I believe that this is the start of something crazy and that it's the first thing I had seen. I kept wondering what was going to revolutionize social media, what was going to take down these giants. And this was the first idea I'd really seen that I thought was really innovative. And so I invited like 100 of my friends into a Zoom call 30 minutes before, where it was like super crazy. I mean, I sent this really crazy text message. I think I posted it the other day on BitClout, but I sent it. I never done anything like this, right? Like when you text your friends and say, join the Zoom call at 11:30. I don't even know if I know what I'm talking about, but you want to know about this and da-da-da. And so I did that. And that Zoom call was kind of weird because I was very serious and I wrote this whole email. I was actually embarrassed to send, God forbid the whole thing was a scam and a fraud. But I remember like interesting things happening even the night before that were kind of milestones, like hearing about it from a few different people. But then like one of my mentors is a guy named Guy Osiri. You can look him up. He manages Madonna and U2. He's kind of on BitClout. But he's invested in Spotify and Uber and Peloton and Airbnb. And he's one of my partners with community. And so I called him and I said, And people, by the way, at this point were saying I couldn't even say the name of what this thing was to other people. It was that much of an NDA and no one was supposed to know and whatever. And there's no tweets about it. And I just asked him, I just said, BitClout. And he said, BitCloud. And I said, no, BitClout. He goes, BitCloud, BitCloud. I think I invested in that. And I was like, well, like, did you not? Like, what is going, kind of like, what is going on, right? And that was kind of, most of the investors really had no idea this thing was launching. Like, they're really confused about it. But I started to realize that at least it had some credibility. And so the next day when it crashed, we started, by the way, Clay, sorry, I'm hogging this entire room here, but we started this, I didn't know what to do. And I was so excited. The thrill of like trying to buy these 10 Joe Rogans that people were laughing about in the chat was so thrilling. It was like, even Elon Musk, for example, guys, I went in and Mark saw this in the video, but I was trying to get one. I thought I was going to get the white paper disguised it, making it sound like all these coins are going to be available for $1. And as you know, now the clock accounts like start at like $500 or $1,000. It's like by the time we were in BitClout.com, we were like, the Elon Musk coin was already 12 grand. And I was just trying to get one of the Elon Musk, like whatever I could, like I was trying to get it. And finally I got it. And my dumb ass bought $1 worth. So like I spent like $7 to get that like $1 when I was trying to buy $12,000 worth. So when it crashed, my brother and I, we were just like freaking out kind of. We're like, okay, what now? Is it done for good? What's going on? Clearly it was going to come back up at some point. And so we just started this room on Clubhouse called Elon Musk Has a Coin. What is BitClout? And that room continues to kind of like pay dividends to this day. Like it's crazy how like the Krasensteins and Siegel and all these people, like their first introduction to BitClout was this crazy. I don't know for any of you, if it was that room, I think Tropics, I think for you it was like, it was really crazy how that room, we had Naval in there for 3.5 hours listening to everything we were saying. And I remember this moment where like people were ganging up on me and saying, oh, this is a scam, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, look, I know for a fact that there's credible VCs behind this, but I couldn't really say names yet. And it was just an interesting, and it was kind of cool too, because there was like enough credibility for me personally. I had enough friends in music and whatever, where they would come on stage. You'd have somebody like Troy Carter, Lady Gaga's former manager, come on stage and he'd say, I invested in this. And then everyone's like, oh, like shit, like maybe it's not like fully a scam. And so it was just this sort of, when you talk about milestones, back to the original question, Alex, that room for me was such a moment. And I know for Diamond Hands, it was too. A lot of people thought BitClout made that room as kind of part of their like marketing ploy. And it was just something that really came natural to me. And it made me realize very quickly, and I got more confidence as the weeks went on around this, but it made me realize very quickly that like, this was not normal, what was happening, because, when Pamela Anderson first joined and she's like, look, I want to do a story and I want to make this a big deal because the way social media works is so messed up. And I was going to try to figure out in the BitClout team, like who could help me with comms points, who could like tell me what we're allowed to talk about, not allowed to talk about, who could tell me what's coming. And there was just no indication of anything at all. And finally I got hold of one of the investors. I didn't even know Diamond Hands at all at that point. And I got a hold of one of the investors and he said, just do whatever you want. We trust you. And I'm like, who's we? And what do you mean you trust me? Like, I'm used to, working at like, first of all, even in my own company, like we're so strategic with every little thing we do. And then at Community, there's a lot of decision makers. And, if you want to do an interview or do that, you got to go through a whole process. So that's when I realized that this was going to be, as Mark mentioned at the beginning, and so I actually posted a Clout saying it, like what's possible when you give people the liberty to express themselves as humans, like what's really possible. And I think that that's really the gift, like that we can all come together, right? And have this sort of experience where BitClout is whatever you're going to make it be. And, we all get to do our part in that, but like, it's really whatever we're going to make it. And I just think that that's such a powerful idea. And it's made me fall in love with decentralization. It's been a gateway for me to the rest of the crypto community. And I'm just really, frankly, excited for what's to come. Sorry for the 20-minute rant, but there you have it.
No, it's great, man. For me, that's kind of, when I came here, that was almost a fear in the beginning. It was like, when you attach a dollar amount and give people, true freedom, what happens? Is it negative or is it positive? And I didn't know the answer when I first showed up here. It was, that was my experiment in it, it was what happens. And to me, it became evident really quickly that it's accountability, which is to me what the blockchain is in general. It's just like the ultimate accountant. And as far as just keeping record and keeping track. And And I think that, at first, my fear was, are people going to be fake? Are people going to, and I think sometimes, people are still finding their place in this space, and that I do notice some people feel pressure to, act a certain way or to say things a certain way because they don't want to lose investors, or they don't, but in a lot of ways, that's not necessarily a bad thing, as far as like, this is the least toxic I felt that the internet is, since, social media has really taken off and become what it's come. When I go to Twitter, like even, we noticed, we were talking about it last night, that when we've opened the Nacho Average call up to the rest of the internet, that is the only time bad actors usually come to the Nacho Average call. We get the trolls and we get all these random people that we don't want in the call. And so now it's actually made us really comfortable, as far as like, we're not trying to reach 100 as fast as we can, or we're not trying to, in the beginning, there was almost this mission of like, how fast can we blow up this call? And everyone wanted to see, this mass adoption, but I kind of see the slow roll being much better now. And that, like, it's so trusting over here. And in the community, the way it builds is just so organic and so genuine. I never imagined that social media or the internet could truly be that. And I am curious to see, once this gets mass adoption, what affects, how, I think if we slow roll and we get there at the pace, that if we don't force things, I think that, it is actually achievable to where we could build this culture and community on BitClout that just resonates with everyone else. And I see it when people come over here, even to the call, we've had people that come in and don't really understand who people are in here. And they're very, they've already got opinions developed before they've even met anybody, because I think of past experiences with the internet. And then all of a sudden, after about a day, they're in the culture, and it's all, vulnerability and honesty and love and all these, really awesome core things that you just don't usually see on the internet. So yeah, it's amazing to see how this thing has evolved from where we thought it could be to where we are now. As far as, Mark, I guess I'll ask you this, as far as going forward, where do you see BitClout in the next 100 days?
Going for the next 100 days. Whew. Well, beyond the moon. It's and like you say, Clay, I think the key part is the pace at which we're kind of adopting here is, so many got so excited. We wanted that mass adoption, but the mass adoption actually starts creating a kind of turbulence that gets in the way of a lot of the innovators and a lot of the solutions that need to be put into place. And, if we had the whole of Facebook, for example, port over immediately to BitClout, it would be insane on a technical level to try and sustain that kind of volume, but also on just, could you imagine the global feed, just everyone smashing in? It's kind of, it wouldn't be the most organic process in that sense. And I think we'd have a bit of challenges to fix it up. And so what I see happening as we're going forwards is this growth that we've already got, it's viral. Like, I think BitClout has already become viral. It's moving on its own. We don't actually need to force it as such, but just keep on sharing, keep on talking, keep on creating. And so, I really do see BitClout as being taken a lot more serious, especially since the exchanges. I've been going on a lot of the YouTube videos of people that have been calling out scam, and just popping a little comment on saying, it might be worth kind of revisiting and rechecking your video now, because pretty much every point that they've been putting out has been shown, that, well, they're not valid anymore. So if you want to call BitClout a scam, you're going to have to come back in, have another look. And so I think over these next months, we're going to see a lot more creators. I'm already seeing, it's almost like I can feel a second wave began around the weekend, like just recently. And it feels like that first wave of all of us came in, we all kind of grounded down and we've got it nice and solid. And now it feels like there's a second wave. I know a lot of my crew, good friends of mine that were intending on coming on and kind of backed off a little bit just because, they had other things going on. They're all re-engaging right now. And so I'm seeing a lot of others coming in. So I think we're going to see a lot more artists, a lot more creators, coming in and really getting connected into this again. And again, I think it's it's going to be a lot about education. It's going to be a lot about helping people to, at least what I'm really passionate about in the months to come, and what I feel is really important for the months to come for the platform and for all of us, is to continually kind of explore what is the greater picture here. What is the bigger vision of BitClout and what does it represent? And as we can speak more about this, share more about this, walk this talk, demonstrate to new creators what BitClout is all about, and really help people understand that BitClout.com as a platform is a prototype. It's a proof of concept, and I think that's a mistake a lot of people make when they've been first coming on board, is thinking that BitClout.com is the end game, that it's the platform. It's what we're really pushing here. But as we really start talking about, BitClout as a blockchain itself, a database, a collective, social, open source, decentralized database, then we can start understanding that BitClout.com is one use for it.
Yeah.
But, I see us plugging into decentralized finance, all these different kinds of things. So you don't have to sell your creator coin. You can actually start leveraging it again, and taking loans out, different things like this. Artists will be able to actually get funding for, upcoming movies, an album you want to get produced. And we won't have to just be hustling as such all the time, but rather just really be enjoying the creation.
Jake, same question to you. Where do you see BitClout in the next 100 days?
I don't know. I haven't felt the second wave that Mark's talking about. It feels a little bit slow to me. I think that I would like to see some incentive put forth by BitClout to, if you're going to bring people on here, real people who are going to verify their phone numbers, I'd love to see some sort of incentive program or something for you to do that, where you can be paid to do that and grow this community. I think that we'll probably see that at some point. I think that we need to figure out what creators can do here, big creators and small creators. For small creators, I think that I see hundreds in here. I think he needs to finish that education site immediately. I posted an education site that I thought was fantastic. And I'm willing to pay a lot more than Balaji for this shit. I'm just messing. I want to see things that are built that can I want to see, I want to be able to send any creator in the world a website that is the most clean website in the world, that shows how official we are, how on point we are as a community. And literally they can go through anything they want to learn. They can learn it from this very simple directory. And then eventually that becomes for recording artists, for porn stars, for entrepreneurs, for developers, making it very simple for them to learn. I want to see more people, at the very beginning, people were writing a lot more articles from the community on how things would work and why it was growing and why it wasn't, not why it wasn't, but why it was interesting. I think we need more of that. And so I think the next 100 days are going to be a real interesting inflection point for us. It's either we're going to figure out as a community how to make this happen, where we make it much easier for people to understand. The creator coin is a very complicated concept for an average person who just uses social media. I was reading last night. Actually, I got it right here. So I finished the Amazon book. And then for those that don't know, I read a fuck ton. So I read about a book a week. So, and then I started the No Filter Instagram book. And the story of Instagram is really interesting. Justin Bieber and these people were joining organically because they just wanted to post their pictures in a cool way and put filters on their picture, like we were talking about earlier. And so I think that there is going to have to be this sort of moment where we figure out how to make this easy for people to understand, so they want to be here. For Instagram, they were going on there for free. They didn't have any equity. They weren't allowed to invest in the company. They were going on for free. For us, they have a ton of money sitting there waiting there, and they're not coming on yet. So how can we make it, hey, what's up, brother? I see you. So how can we make it, how can we make it easier for them? How can we educate the community? I'm I'm out there for sure. I'm talking to people now. I'm meeting all sorts of different people, whether it's Kevin Hart's team, Miley Cyrus's team, et cetera. And I'm like trying to educate them, bring them up to speed. But even if I get them to come on, what can they really do here? Like I got people like Logan Paul to come on. Like he did a freaking Clubhouse, right, for us. Like he was down to do whatever, but like, what exactly is he supposed to do here? It kind of goes back to what Mark Cuban said in that tweet storm. He was like, right now it's just a lot of BitClout porn. And so it's like, damn, like, how do we take that next step? And maybe it's just having enough people here that want to talk about enough different things. And maybe it's how we make it easier for people. I know people like Muba and other people on this call are probably working, even the Clouded guys on things like this. With how do we group around topics so you can, as Flick Sparks is saying, it's a tricky site to navigate for most. I like talking about the things that are on BitClout. So for me, it's really easy. But I think for the majority of people, it's kind of one of those things you kind of got to be all in. Another thing I'd love to see is, sorry, I'm mentioning so many things I'd love to see, but feel free to do any of these. And if any of them stick out to you, and I think Hundred's working on the website, but I also think we need like what was the first 100 days of BitClout? We need like some sort of like little book that says, this clubhouse room happened and this happened. And on this day, Raj invented the Raj poll, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this scammer happened, and then this didn't happen, and then that happened. And then we had the Miami, like, people need to find a way to be educated on all our inside jokes and our lingo so they understand it simply if they want to. I just think a lot of it's education. So I think the next 100 days, it'll be an inflection point for us, I hope we can blast off for real, and we can all see BitClout become what we want it to be. But it may take longer for things to sort of find their bearings and for us to create all these resources as a community that we are worthy of those people's time, energy, and investments.
I think that it's, for me, like when I look at the next 100 days, I am extremely excited about it. As far as like the NFTs, coming to BitClout, like I'm really curious. I think that's the next wave that I envision, is that we'll have an influx of NFT artists that, because there's no gas fees, because there's, a social media aspect to it, to where you can put your NFTs on your actual social media. Even looking at Mark Cuban, he created that lazy.com, where it's supposed to be, and I thought it was a cool idea, but it needed this. It needed an actual, I don't know how to word it, but basically like Twitter with your NFTs, to where you can be social and you can, talk about your NFTs and not just display them. I think having the creator coin aspect mixed in with that, like, gives it a really, really cool aspect that, I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I see a lot of people. I've actually had a lot of people reach out to me on it. I think that that's going to be a big wave of people that come in. I think as we continue to get more listings too, it will legitimize, and take away the whole scam aspect, to where people can no longer use that as some reason why, they should or shouldn't be on BitClout. But as far as like, the issue you were talking to, Jake, as far as some of the larger creators, I always like using, especially being a hip hop artist, I like using Tory Lanez as a kind of a barometer for the larger creator. And that, you go look at his Facebook page, or, which is funny, being verified on Facebook, I comment on every single one of his posts because I get, priority at the top, and it's just BitClout. Like, everybody come to BitClout. And it's like, I see people like him, though, that have this huge following, and as also as an independent artist, it's so cool to see what he's been able to create. But I don't, and it's really awesome how he continues to post over here. But I don't see the incentive for someone like him yet here necessarily, because unless they want to be a pioneer, that's essentially what they have to be to want to be here. And that it's going to take a lot of, to get to where they are on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Instagram. It's going to take so much more work in this day that we're in with BitClout than opposed to where I envision us a year from now or 3 years from now. Once the masses are over here, they'll get, their following will show up, on their page, immediately. Whereas now the niches are still being filled out. And so it is difficult. Now I think that's where someone like me or some of these smaller creators that, were right at that bubble are having success, because my content was ready, but I didn't have a mass following, necessarily to bring over to BitClout. And so, yeah, I don't see the incentive for them, but I don't really think that's a bad thing either. In that I think, you know, Arts brought it up one day that he thought, you know, having the like the top 15,000 Twitter accounts already over here, that was going to be a big deal for a lot of people. And, you know, now the way it's played out, I think it's honestly just the natural progression of how this platform needs to grow. And that we have seen, you know, major artists and major, you know, celebrities come over here, but I see them all as pioneers. That's one thing I love about all the people we've seen come over is they've adopted us as much as, you know, we're trying to get people to adopt BitClout. They truly, you know, like being a part of the community. And I think if people really gave it a chance, this is addictive as hell. Everybody who comes over here, I have not met one person who's on here, you know, more than a week that's not just fully addicted to it. I think, you know, I have seen people like I have friends in the local, you know, DFW hip hop community that they're decent sized artists. They have, you know, in Dallas, like you know, most of our artists that end up succeeding, they go elsewhere. They'll go to out to LA or New York, and they don't bring a lot of the resources back. So as far as having just this, you know, rabid fan base in Dallas, like it doesn't really exist. But they'll come over and almost act too cool, where they'll post like once a day and then not follow anybody. And it's like, man, if you're not getting into this community, like you're not going to get addicted. Like you're not going to get, you know, involved the way that we all feel involved. They're not, like you said, the inside jokes and all of the things that we've experienced together. Like I look at y'all like family now. And I think, you know, that's the cool aspect of BitClout that I've never really felt on any other social media platform is, you know, when you talk, and I think that's one thing too with the Nacho Average calls provided is once you have these face-to-face interactions, you know, when I met you, Jake, on Augustine's Zoom call, like I've known you ever since then. Like you know, even speaking to Alec there, you know, me and Alec had a phone call conversation really early on BitClout. And I, you know, I feel like I know you guys like family and the support that, you know, I think BitClout's one of those places where you get what you put into it. You know, I've had some people that I think look at my account and think that I've gotten like favoritism or something like that. And the thing they don't understand about me is I am on here 24/7. And I literally spend probably about 4 hours a day sleeping and 20 hours building on BitClout. And luckily I'm not having to comment on every single thing and follow every single person anymore. But in the beginning days, I was just, you know, trying to do it genuinely, but at the same time, mining the crap out of this place. And that I just never stopped. And, you know, I post 26 times a day and it's like, but I've also gotten the reward back out of that. And that the commitment level I've put into this, I've never seen anything like this. And that I didn't have to spend some large amount of money. I put $150 into BitClout when I showed up here. And the reward that's come back out of it is almost, you can't quantify it. It's just something that I've never experienced anywhere else. Alex, did you have any questions or anything like that before we go to Q&A? Oh. Sorry, I had to ask you to unmute.
Yeah, guys, I'd like to ask two questions. And we all know that BitClout now is about relationships and networking. And this is maybe the most valuable thing that we've got here. And the thing that I would like to ask you, and maybe you will promote someone asking this, is what's your best connection that you've earned during the journey on BitClout? New connections that people you didn't know before the BitClout, and did you manage to build something with them? This is the first question. And the second questions, guys, I know you have a lot of plans and projects that is ahead of you, and it will be cool to maybe you will announce something and explain what are you gonna do for BitClout community and so on and so forth. Yeah, please, Clay, starting with you, like from the mayor.
So for me, I actually have to name two people. One is, you know, Jake Udell. I mean, as an artist, having access and just being able to get advice and resources from someone like Jake is, you know, for an artist like me, you have to pay a lot of money to climb up the food chain in the music industry. You have to expend a lot of time and a lot of resources. And being on a platform, I think one aspect is being here early. where there's less people and less, and when I first came over here, the way I would explain it, I would go studio to studio in Dallas, Fort Worth, and just, beg people to listen to what I had seen on BitClout. And they, mostly because I just saw this as like, man, if these guys understand what this is over here, it will change the entire city overnight. And because here it's very, predatory. The music industry in general can be very predatory, but there's a lot of scammers in the DFW. There's a lot of people that are even like household names in music that are very scammy in this area. And so I went around and it was just like, yo, you go on Twitter and you try to speak to your people. It's like Jake was saying, you can have this mass following, but you're trying to speak to your people. And it's like, I'm trying to speak over Snoop Dogg and Elon Musk and Kendrick Lamar and all these major artists that no one at the end of the day ends up hearing what I have to say or wanting to, it's not even that they don't want to hear, they can't see it. They don't hear it because there's so much flood of interaction for these other people. And then, I come over here and I'm like, I speak and I feel heard. All of a sudden, whether it's someone in, Russia or someone in Australia or Peru or Argentina, like they can hear me finally. And I don't have to pay some large ad fee to get there. And that's what I finally had to do is I just started running ads because I was determined, like, come hell or high water, like I'm going to reach, get my message out there. And so having access to someone like Jake has been huge for me. And I see it even going forward, as I'm building Clout Records and all these different things. It's amazing to have these relationships and friendships to where, you can just reach out, even like getting Jake to come do Clout for him. It's like, and if you would have told me 6 months ago that this is what I would be doing, I wouldn't have believed you at all. I couldn't even have imagined how we would have gotten here. But then another person, that I had actually followed before I got to BitClout was Andy Arts. And that, I'm a huge fan of him and how he, his part that he's put into social capital. I love how they invest. I love their belief just in the people and trying to build something that's going to change the world. And being able to go to Miami and just stand with him and see for myself that he was exactly who I thought he was. And just to get I gleaned so much from him that day that you can't put a price on that. You can't, that's a once in a lifetime, thing for me is like, even, heck, Mark Cuban responded to me on Twitter since I've been on BitClout. It's like, that's never been a thing in my world until I got here. And it's funny because he has his 2 burner accounts. I'm like, we've probably bumped into each other on BitClout and not even realized, that's who he is. But yeah, those things have been huge to me. And then also too, Arts joins our call now. Like that's one of the coolest things about this Not Your Average call is that you never know who's going to pop in here. And so there's just all these amazing people that are doing really amazing things around the world that we get to just talk to like family. And so also like as far as the projects, right now we're building All Aboard, which is going to be an onboarding platform. And it's just basically going to be an onboarding class that restarts every 30 minutes. Me and Wendy are shooting a video to where it'll just be a 20-minute video. It's going to be community ran. So there'll be members of the Not Your Average call that sign up for slots on the website to work those slots. The incentive is that they'll be the early investors on whoever they choose to invest in that's in their class. And then, they'll do a 10-minute Q&A after the 20-minute video. So anyone who has questions, they'll be able to feel comfortable. And then we send them to the Not Your Average call. So now they get that family welcome and they get to be a part of the bigger experience of BitClout, which is the community. And yeah, so that's one thing that I plan to launch this week. And I'm really excited about. I'll pass it off to Jake. Jake,
that's huge, Clay. But before you giving the floor to Jake, I'd like to ask you for more 2 projects that you are developing now. The first one is Not Your Average House, because I don't know anything about it, and I think it will be very interesting for the community to know about it. And the second project is Clout Records, as far as I remember.
So the Not Your Average House, it was actually an idea that sparked out of the Not Your Average call. And that the Not Your Average call originally was just made to be an experiment. It was just something that, when we were having the calls with Augustin, we kept having all these, big creators come in. Jake, you know, that was where I got to meet Jake for the first time and really talk to him. And it was just a really cool experience to see these people face to face. And it was a whole different feeling going back to the timeline and seeing their post. It was like, now I know these people. And then, you know, one night we were sitting there and I kept waking up in the morning or going to sleep in the morning. I was going to sleep. And as I was going to sleep at like 4 or 5 a.m., people from around the world would message and say, hey, you know, it'd be really cool if we could be a part of this too. And so, you know, being that I see BitClout as such a global community, it was like, they're right. We need to come up with some way that everyone can get this experience we're having. And so, you know, I was sitting there, I had been wanting to launch Nacho Average as a creative content brand, but I didn't have a project necessarily that I could launch with. And so that's what the Nacho Average call became, is it was like, okay, you know, I can run this 24/7 Zoom call and it's just an open-ended experiment, and that there's, you know, the only rule is respect. And so once we, you know, got into the Nacho Average call and had this amazing community, it became apparent to me that, you know, the same way that TikTok has the you know, content houses, it was like when I started studying all those, it was all based on materialistic things, like how big the house was and the money that they were receiving in the cars. And so I saw a way to do it on the flip side, where it's like, let's make it all about the creator, and that each creator will have, you know, we'll have a global community in this house. We'll have, you know, as many different types of creators as we can bring in, whether it's a chef or a recording artist or a painter, you know, web developer, video game, you know, player, whatever we could, you know, think of, pretty much anything. And it was like, we can live stream this the same way we do the 24/7 phone call, and just give these creators a place to thrive, as far as they don't have to worry about, you know, paying the bills or, you know, where their food's going to come from. And at the same time, create resources in the community to where now we can actually, you know, bring this change that we're all feeling to the community that the house is in. And so, you know, it really just started simply as an idea in the call. And you know, ever since, we've gotten a ton of support from the community. We've had donations, we've had just an abundance of support. And so now we're actually, we're at the point of proof of concept number 3 with it, to where now me and Wendy are moving into the first Nacho Average house in Fort Worth. And so, which is my hometown. And I already have, you know, venues and all these different resources here to provide for creators that end up in the first Nacho Average house. And so, you know, Jonah Bolden, he's the term we use on our, as far as team member is light workers. And so Jonah Bolden is a light worker that he's one of my partners that's, you know, helping us, you know, I don't know how to say, like he's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, you know, making it easier for me to be a creator. And he's, you know, coming up with the business plans and developing the websites for us. And so having him has also been just, you know, you can't quantify that, especially as like, I'm a diehard NBA fan. So to work with Jonah Bolden is also just, you know, cool as hell to begin with. He was the first person that I wanted to reach out to make a part of the team. And he immediately was interested, and we've become great friends ever since. And then as far as Clout Records, my idea has always been to kind of reshift or change the model of the record label. And that, you know, a lot of the offers I've gotten throughout my career, they've been heavily weighted towards the record label. And a lot of them too are, anytime I've gotten offers, like the number one thing at stake for me is always creative control. And that I don't want to have what I'm doing be completely taken out of my hands and put into people's hands that don't really have the same heart for it that I do, or for the people, you know, the community that I'm trying to reach. And so Clout Records is just a way that we can co-sign artists. I don't plan to sign artists to traditional record deals. You know, that's why it's Clout Records, and that we'll be using our clout to co-sign artists and elevate what they're doing, and give them the ability to own their own masters, own their name. But the way it's so easy to do it is now we've got this Nacho Average house. So we'll already have a recording studio in that house. We'll have venues, we'll have, you know, the goal is to have a manager of the different creators in the house. So there will be all these things that we can offer to that artist. We haven't fully figured out exactly how we plan to do it. It might be, 5% that we end up taking from the artist to just put into a house fund, so that we can, cover rent or cover whatever's necessary to make this thing sustainable. But the goal is to create, if there ever is deals, heavily weighted deals for the artist, so that way they have the freedom that, we're all receiving over here at BitClout. And yeah, that's, I decided to launch it right now this week because we were dropping the BitClout song on all streaming platforms. So I signed myself, and that was kind of my declaration that I don't feel like we, if we truly put the time into BitClout, and, you can thrive here. And I think there will be opportunities for artists to still, sign, but at the same time, I kind of want to keep swimming upstream. And so Clout Records is a way for me to kind of make that declaration and help other artists, reach their full potential as well.
Yeah, you've got a lot of projects, and they're quite awesome,
Appreciate
And
it.
before we go to Jake, I'd like to give a floor to Mark, because he's got a great meeting ahead, and he needs to say something.
Oh,
Quickly.
gotcha.
There we go. Yeah, sorry, I got to jump, guys. I've got a meeting I got to jump into. I pushed it forwards a few minutes, and love hearing that, Clay. And so I just wanted to come in quickly and say a few goodbyes before I jump. And yeah, the first thing to answer that quick question, I'll answer the first one. And one of the greatest contacts that I've made is actually Seth Savoy. So Seth Savoy is a director of a movie called Echo Boomers that was released last year. And when I saw the director on, getting really involved on BitClout, I was kind of expecting, it'd probably be interesting. And when I saw the movie, it's epic. Like, this guy has created a masterpiece, and it captures the spirit of the current, feelings of the millennials and the world that we're in right now and the rest. And so I'm actually having Seth on for the Clout Forum, 10 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time. Was it 10? I think that's right. Anyway, so we're going to have him on. So we'll be doing that in here and having that conversation. And the reason that was such a big thing for me was because ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor. When I became a teenager, I was told that it's not a real job, to give it up, go become a lawyer, go become a doctor. You're a smart kid. Don't waste it away on performing. And so I threw my life away into trying to chase that. And then I ended up in the circus. I ended up in all these crazy worlds. And it's all kind of come full circle back because Seth has basically put out a thing. The top 10 coin holders get a role in his next film, which he's doing in Chicago at the end of the year. So that's going to be pretty huge. So that's just one thing on the top of millions that have been game changers. That all being said, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me on. Jake, awesome meeting. 7. I've had a few people sit there and say, are you and Jake related? And it's funny with a hairdo. It seems to do it every time, right? But I just saw Game 7's put in a comment on here saying, at what point do we dispense with this charade and acknowledge that Mark Bentley and Jake Udell are long lost brothers? So my man, I'll take that as a massive compliment. And, we need the idealism, we need the realism, we need the creativity, we need the magic on this platform, and we need the engineers, we need the mechanics, we need the solidness. And I'm seeing that turning up in all of us here. So really want to say thanks to everyone. Thanks for having me. And
thank you, Mark. We will have you tomorrow at 10 p.m. with Seth Savoy.
Awesome. Take care, guys.
You too, man. Thank you.
So, Jake, it's your turn to open up. What's coming from you for BitClout community, and what kind of connection you have managed to find there?
Oh, gotcha.
So I'll start with the connection just because it's easy, but man, I've met so many cool people. It's been hyper networking at a super high level. I think that, part of it's been meeting the people that are doing really cool things for the platform, on the platform every day. But then it's been equally as cool to meet people that are off the platform that are advocating for us on an investment front has just been really inspiring, because that's kind of my, I wouldn't say necessarily my background, but my wife's a venture capitalist, and I'm really inspired by how our movement can be protected and grown by financing. It's really interesting to me, right? Every time there's $100 million put into BitClout now, it's very important to all of us because we have a deflating currency. So it's really fascinating. But man, I heard Art's name mentioned earlier. It's been really cool to meet Art's. That guy keeps it super, super real. I actually, another one too, like I'm going to his birthday party this weekend, but like Craig, Craig is like somebody who I kind of knew of. We're both marketers. We live in, similar circles and like never met before. And now he's one of my best friends. Same with Reed, right? So I never met Reed before. Now Reed's one of my best friends. So it's like really cool to see the way that's worked out. And what's coming? Well, I haven't really talked about it anywhere publicly, but I think a lot of from the last 2.5 years, I've been building community.com, and it's been an awesome journey. We've raised over $90 million. We have 27 million users in under 2 years, 7,000 paying customers. It's been incredible, but I'm ready for what's next. And BitClout opened my eyes to what could be possible. And so I am making the plunge full-time, not to necessarily just be a full-time creator, although that's fun too. But I realized that like 60 to 80% of our time that we're spending as a community is not being value captured by the platform. So if you think about it, like if somebody says something great on stage, and like if Clay says something great, you can't really like give him diamonds on stage, right? And be like, oh, Clay, you're great. Here's a diamond, like keep rocking. And eventually I think we are going to see that take place, sort of what we talked about earlier. Clay was even mentioning the imitation platforms, if you will, that are going to come very quickly. So I am taking a spin on it. I would definitely not call it an imitation platform. But basically I just realized that coin holders just don't have a great way to communicate with each other. And in this old world that we've been living in, we connected around our interests, but in this new world, we're connecting around our investments. And so I'm building a company and a project called MetaLink. And what MetaLink does is it allows you to join messaging groups based on the cryptocurrencies you own. And the first protocol that we will be launching with is, drum roll please, BitClout. And so how that will work is, it will kind of look like a Discord, but there's going to be several things that I think make it way better than Discord. Maybe not at first, but over time. We're thinking about different ways that information is really clunky on Discord and how we can solve it. But also the biggest difference, is Arts was the one actually that said it, to me. I just got a text from the CEO of community. Goes, let's dive in actually on my thing. So I love that. Something that Arts had said to me was the difference between us and Discord MetaLink will be the fact that you're going to be able to execute transactions on the platform. So like imagine in Discord, if every person had like the buy button next to their name for their creator coin, if you could give diamonds to their messages in Discord. And so I'm really, really excited about this. I've obviously studied messaging for a long time, but the reason I'm most excited about this is because I want the value you all dedicate to the community. When you're on a Nacho Average call, when you're on Discord, when you're on Telegram, I want to find ways for you to be recognized for that value, and somebody to not have to go back to bitclout.com and remember to support you, and just making it easy for them to do it right there. So we are building MetaLink, and I hope that it will allow you to have a great chat experience while kind of feeling like social media, and allowing you to execute these high value transactions with your peers all at the same time and in the same place. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the final question between Q&A session with the audience is the following. If this video was being watched by some celebrities from Twitter or Facebook, what would you say to them? What's your message to them?
Join us. Come join us. I would say, honestly, I think that's better suited for Jake. I feel like I'm more of a smaller creator, so I feel like I can resonate with the smaller creator more. And that, even though now, it's so funny because like on BitClout, my presence, it feels so much larger than my other social media platforms, but I have like 45,000 followers on Twitter and like 20,000 followers on Facebook. So it's that whole fishnet thing, you know, that Jake was kind of talking about earlier, and that you have this large number that your account shows you have, but you're really only hitting 5% of that, you know, volume. So for me, I guess I would, you know, I don't know what I'd say to the larger creators, because right now, I don't feel like I appeal to them as, you know, much as I can to a smaller creator. So I guess I'll say to the smaller creator, it would be, you know, you get what you put in over here. And if you're really struggling, you know, in whatever, you know, social media platform you're in, if you're really putting in the work and your content is there, I think if you've found your gifts, like, this is the place to thrive. I go into the gas station now and we'll tell the clerk at the gas station, like, look, what is your passion? Like, what do you like to do? This is how you can apply it to BitClout. And for me, this is just, I think it's for everyone. I think it's a freedom that people need to experience. And I think all creators, big and small, deserve to be appreciated. And you know, especially if they're putting in the work and their content is there. You know, at one point I've paid a lot of money throughout my career for different things, but to start my record label, you know, in 2018, I spent $9,000 just paying 2 guys' salaries to help me get things lifted off the ground. And, you know, unfortunately, one of the people I'd worked with, he passed away within like 3 months of working together. And I just kind of hit rock bottom with my label and what I was trying to do. And that a lot of stuff worked, but at the same time, it was like building a Ferrari and not having any gas to put in it to get to the next level. And over here, you don't need to spend $9,000 or anything close to that to get the appreciation that you deserve. I don't think you honestly need to spend any money. I think that if you have good ideas and good projects, you just through Founders Reward, you can make $9,000 in a few weeks. And I think it's just about building solid relationships and being a part of the community over here. I'm super interested though to see what you would say, Jake.
Voice.
There we go. So what I would say is that today you are posting on Instagram, you're hustling to post on YouTube, you're hustling to post on TikTok. You don't get paid to post on any of those platforms. And you think that's okay because you're addicted to the gamification of it all. But what you may not realize is those platforms are all making money off you. They're not just making money off you. They're making money off every single time somebody watches one of those videos, and every single time somebody comments, and every single time that somebody likes one of those videos, they're making money off your videos, off your hard work. And so the reason why you put up with it is because up until now, there just hasn't been a better way. And everyone, you know, everything gets disrupted at some point, right? And so I believe that in the future, and it already exists with BitClout, but I believe that you're actually going to get paid to create and to participate. It already exists in the world of crypto. I can explain to you how it works. I go into a whole pitch about that, but I just think that you deserve to be paid when you create stuff, and it shouldn't be governed by what Google thinks or what Facebook thinks. It should be up to you. And I think that BitClout is going to enable that. And a lot of people are going to think, as was kind of mentioned earlier, that BitClout is BitClout.com. And it's not. It's so much more than that. And it's the underlying blockchain that all of the possibilities for the future of the creator economy are going to be built upon. And then I give examples of, like, you know what I mean about that. But yeah, I just think that when you think about it, when diamonds first came out, I thought it was really inspiring. Like, I do think diamonds will one day have the chance to replace the like button. And I think that gets really interesting, for somebody like Selena Gomez, where she's going to get 1 million diamonds a photo one day. That's $10,000 a photograph. All of a sudden, she's not going to post 2 times a week. She's going to post 5 times a day. That's $50,000 a day. That's $18.5 million a year. That's more money than any artist or celebrity is making doing something that's that passive. And so it's really fascinating where this could go at scale. And I think that there's going to be a first mover advantage. I just joined the platform 100 days ago. I've already generated, I think it's like $850,000 in value in my own coin, something like that. Just from the founder reward and then the original coins that I got given when the founder reward was the other way. But, and who the fuck am I? I'm nobody. So like, what are we talking about here? Where could this go for you? So if you're a celebrity watching, it's yours for the taking. We'll see if you'll be the first to do it or if you'll just wait for the rest of the world because they're coming. So.
Thank you, Jake. It's a very meaningful message for the rest of the celebrities on Twitter and Facebook, I think. And we'll make a separate video of you speaking to them. Mates, if you have any questions to our speakers or to the topic of our discussion, please raise your hand and we'll give you a floor for it. Hunter, I know that you wanna to talk about it, so would you like to join? Oh, Claire and Tiger Boys wanted to join.
Clay Oglesby raised his hand first. So.
Hey, y'all, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Clay mentioned earlier, he felt that Twitter, he's not heard, but on this platform, he's heard. And it's part of like the followings don't equate. There's smaller following compared to Twitter. And, you still get heard more here. Do you think when this platform grows and the big names come on here that will run into the similar problem? And even so, it might not be us because we're early adopters. So we might actually become that, new influencers. But for new users, it could essentially be like speaking into a void, kind of like what you're feeling now currently on Twitter, Clay. Do you agree or disagree?
I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I think that as someone trying to build things to bring the community together, my goal is to focus on that and to try not to, whatever, I think one big thing is algorithms. I think that, on Twitter, there's less algorithms and that like it is more, your timeline's more based on the time that you post. I think one thing that could alleviate the void, I actually have an idea that I've not put out there too publicly because I'm not ready for it yet. But once I have the Nacho average node set up and we're at full scale of what I see it being, I'm going to verify everybody that can prove they are who they are. I don't have that system, fully put together yet, but I think that forces the larger creators to compete as well as the smaller creators. And that a lot of times that blue check does kind of separate people from the crowd. And I think that, as long as people can prove they are who they are, it's, at that point, it's based on your content and what value do you bring to your community? So that's one way I've thought of and how we can kind of avoid that. But I am, I do see that as being a potential problem, that we have to solve. And I don't want creators who show up 6 months from now or a year from now to feel swallowed up by the larger creators to where they're just speaking out into a void. So I totally see that as an issue we have to focus on. Did that answer your question?
Maybe Jake wants to add something, but he doesn't have a.
Sorry, guys. What's the question? I'm kind of caught up in the chat. My apologies.
So the question was, how I was saying earlier on Twitter, when I post on Twitter, I feel like I'm just kind of speaking out into a void and I have to talk all over these people. Do you see BitClout becoming that in the end, as far as like, as we get mass adoption and all the larger creators do come over, will the people who are showing up a year or two from now that aren't, established creators yet, will they be, caught up in that void as well?
I think that we as a community, I was just looking at it earlier, like Disclosure's been posting a fuck ton, right? And they're not really getting much like engagement, right? And so it's kind of, I know BitClout's still very small, but it's like, how do we as a community make these sort of like early people who aren't necessarily the celebrities, but like the people that actually care about using this thing? How do we how do we make them feel good about being being on there. So I think that's going to be a challenge for us, especially with back to the Mark Cuban thing again. Like, we're just pretty much talking about BitClout in our own kind of bubble. So if you say like regular ass shit, it doesn't really resonate with the BitClout community today, but I hope one day it will. I think one day it will. And there'll be different nodes and stuff, but yeah, I think that we have to make sure that people don't feel like they're talking to a void. And I think that, dude, Clay, I can't tell you how inspired I was by the all aboard thing. Like, straight up, like, if you would have told me Nacho Average before you launched it, I wouldn't have understood. I'd be like, all right, whatever. But like, it's obviously been super dope. Congrats. But when I saw the all aboard thing, man, I was like, this is sick. Like, you're telling me I can send anybody to this thing, and there's going to be somebody waiting there to onboard them for like 15 minutes out the through. And then from there, they can just get thrown in the Nacho Average call with all these people. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, I think that, we need more official vehicles for how we onboard people. Like I was saying earlier, with the education of the website and that stuff like that. So I think that that's going to be really cool. And yeah, it's going to take training. It's going to take education. We need to, as a community, rally. Part of it's educating ourselves for how do we react when somebody like that comes on our platform, and how do we make them, and that's kind of why I stopped doing Cloud Hour. It's like, at least for now, I have some ideas of how to relaunch it, but it was kind of like, okay, cool. Like, I can put these people on a Clubhouse stage, but does that increase their coin value? Does that give them benefit? Does that make people in the community, make them feel more attached to BitClout? A little bit, but it wasn't like to the level that I wanted to see. And so I'm kind of back to the drawing board of figuring out, okay, if we're going to bring somebody, like a Kevin Hart, for example, if he's coming on, like, what's he going to do here? You're not going to be joining the Nacho Average call, right? So like, what's he going to, like, what can he do that doesn't just involve like gimmicks around his coin that make him want to come back and post every day because he's getting a certain type of energy that he's not getting from Twitter or not getting from somewhere else. And I think we have a gift as a community. I think we're a bunch of unique people. We're early adopters. We're tech savvy. We're here early. Like, I think we're a cool community. I think it's why people like Biology are like making moves with us, but I think that we have some work to do to figure out how we set values for ourselves as a community for how we treat these people when they come on in a way that makes them really, really, really excited to be here with us.
What do you think about the idea I was saying as far as like when I picture building out the Nacho Average node, like long term, I'm basically creating my own social media platform on top of BitClout. It's video based. Like, I want to have, basically take the raw elements that we found that work in this Nacho Average call and continue to apply them out in a larger scale basis. But what do you think as far as if everyone had a blue check, as far as whatever way we decide to verify people, whether it's ID or whatever we do? I know that probably is not what the larger creators would want, as far as, even myself, that's, I worked really hard to get my blue check. It took me 10 years to finally get a blue check. But with that, I do see, especially early on in here, creators, I've always been a fan of Gandhi. And then, like, they always used to ask Gandhi, like, why don't you live in the mansion on, on the mountain? And he would say, because the second I go up there, I can no longer connect with the people I'm trying to connect with. And for me, a lot of the people that I like inspiring or helping is creators and people helping them find their purpose and their gifts. And a lot of people don't hear me sometimes. I'll try to help creators and they're like, well, you have a blue check or you're whitelisted, or they'll give me all these excuses as to why they can't put in the same effort that I'm trying to get them to realize they need to put in. If everyone had a blue check and everyone was forced to compete, do you think it could, alleviate some of that void? Or do you see that as not really making a difference?
I don't know. I think that the dynamics of coin pricing is interesting, right? In terms of how it motivates people, even celebrities. Many celebrities that are not claim their accounts are watching their coin prices. I don't know. I think that I'm just not sure, actually.
I plan to, I don't know how to experiment with it without going full scale. And then, like, once you give blue checks, you can't really take them back. I guess if someone violates whatever
Yeah, and the blue check, by the way, I think Hunter's saying in the chat, Clay, I don't know if you knew this, but it's actually not on the chain. So if you set up another node, you know, how's Hunter saying he's going to do it? He's saying we're going to be fair. We're planning to be fairly exclusive, like Wikipedia level standards. Hunter, I'm glad I make the cut, baby. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Thank you. No, I'm just messing. But no, I'm not. I just think we need different things for people to do and like find the one thing that everyone loves doing. And I don't think everything, I don't think everybody loves just posting without video. So I think that's a challenge for us. So if you're thinking about building something with video, I think that there's something there. I just haven't quite figured out exactly what it is.
For me right now, if I had the, you know, if I was tech savvy, I think I could already deploy it. Like I already have the idea in my head. I don't want to speak too much on it and give the idea completely away because I haven't covered all of my bases with it yet. But I do have a way. I actually would love to talk to you about it offline at some point. I have an idea of how this thing goes full scale. But at the same time, like me and Hunter were talking about it last night, the way I'm rolling out these ideas, they're all, funneled. It's all an umbrella and that it's all still nacho average. And if you notice, like pretty much everything that we're creating is all video based. So like we've already claimed the name, so I can say it, but like Nacho Average Network is really what this will be called once it's, like the way I see BitClout right now is that like, originally I was thinking, someone needs to make a BitClout commercial. I'm like, we could literally make like an ad for BitClout and, narrate it and put, full scale ad into it and run ads on Facebook and run ads in all these different places to give people that education on, the first level. But then it hit me about a week ago that it's really not running an ad for BitClout. It's running an ad for the company you build on top of BitClout, that we have to build marketable ideas and companies that people are going to want to come be a part of. And so for like Nacho Average, in the end, it will be the Nacho Average Network that, that will be the node that I'm trying to invite people into. And pretty much all of it will be video based. But it'll scale to that, and that we have smaller ideas that are going to take us to that larger place. But it's all just a worldwide Zoom call that started it all. And shout out to Augustin. If he didn't do the first call, like I would never have got the idea to create all this other stuff that we're creating. I owe him a lot in the long term for creating that first Zoom call. But yeah, I'd love to talk to you about it at some point though. I see Tiger Boy, he has his hand up. Go ahead and unmute you.
Yeah, well, first of all, Jake, listen, thank you for everything you're doing for the community, man. You're like a true inspiration. And every time you come on this call, it's always just inspiring when you leave. It's awesome. So thank you for that. And Clay, everything, for putting this together on all this nacho community. It's just awesome. Question though, Jake, and I know you're very active in the community and you're doing a lot of things, with the Clouded, which is bringing out some great stories, and it's just awesome. And I think that's kind of some of the things that the community is gonna need as it kind of go through this. We're in a phase right now where, as you can see, we need velocity, but things are kind of slowing down, and we have some small creators that's saying, what about me? How do you help? They need some help, and they're looking at the some of those reserve coins that's sitting there and going, how do we get some of that? How do we, is there something that we could do in between that can help the small creators that's going to come on, join the community with $100 and start out? And how do we keep them going for the next, 6 to 8 months, until we start gaining some velocity? I mean, is there something that, that we can do as a community? I'm not talking about taking what's been reserved or taken away from anybody. But what else do you think that we could do as a community to kind of help those small creators? Because I hear the story and I see them posting every day, just screaming for some kind of help.
Yeah, I was thinking earlier, Tiger Boy, about if I was going to post 100 things I learned about BitClout in the first 100, or about my life, even in the first 100 days, similar to what Craig did, or his 40 things he learned at 40 or whatever it was. And one of the things that I thought about was BitClout reteaches the same lesson that we learn time and time and time again. Let's say you're out there pitching your idea, right? And you have some big idea for BitClout or anything in life, for your job or anything. And people's natural instinct is just to run into this, like, here's what I'm pitching, here's what it is, here's how it's going to be big. And it's like, hang on a second. Like, the world listens to their, everyone in this room, we all listen to our own radio station. It's not a choice, it's human nature. And that radio station is WIIFM. What's in it for me? And so we have a lot of people on this platform that are maybe even in need of help, right? But also are like coming with these, open hands saying, help. And I gotta, I'm not saying it's a fully democratic atmosphere by any means. There were people that were here earlier. There were people that, like, I know people that invested at this thing at the very, very beginning where, they were 100x by the time I got in, right? And I didn't get in much earlier than any of you, right? I mean, I was the first time I bought BitClout was like $78 or $80. I'm not like some super early investor in BitClout like most of my friends. And so I think that what I'm trying to get at is that the way to create on this platform is by adding value to other people. It's the only way. And so it's this constant like reminder of the way that life works. And I do think there's things in the short term, Tiger Boy, that we could do to incentivize. I think at some point you'll probably see referral programs and things like that get rolled out and spun out that make it easier to invite people and incentivize you for doing so. But at the end of the day, that's going to be a continued challenge when people know they can make money here and they know that there's people that, I can't tell you how many people I got scammed by. They just knew exactly what to say to my play. They were like, I would put some posts, I'd be like, best caption for this. And they would make some funny joke about my freaking pants and just get me like, they knew exactly what to say. They would get me to invest or give them diamonds or whatever. And then the next thing I'm reclouding these people. And then next thing you know, they've run off with 10 grand and, everyone lost money. And it's just like, man, it makes it really hard. But I'm not going to let any one of those or 2 or 10 of those stop me from investing in new creators. They studied me 100, they did, but it's like, they knew what was possible. But I think that for new creators, having more environments like the Nacho Average Call, or maybe not everybody wants to be on video. Maybe it's the Clubhouse rooms. Maybe it's the, maybe it's new platforms that are built. Maybe it's the All Aboard idea that Clay's rolled out. Like, there's going to be all these different things, and just making sure that people can get educated so they understand like how this is different than other social media platforms, because it is really different. So I don't know. I could go on and on and on and on probably, but yeah.
No, I think, thanks for that. I think you're hitting a lot of good points. The solution is probably tied to onboarding, setting proper expectations, so people are not coming in thinking, hey, this is a place where money is being thrown around and being giveaway. And, that's not what it is. It's
Yo, what's funny? You just made me think of something, man. I haven't told anybody. This is so goofy. This can sound so ridiculous, but so you got to invest in your friends. So the first few days that the platform was live, I was just hustling like crazy, right? I was like, oh my God, let me get this celebrity on, that celebrity on. Let me do, I was just getting all these people onboarded. And I thought it was going to be like a mad rush, because it was. And I was making a lot of money really quickly. And so I was in Colorado, and as many of you know, that's the cannabis state of our country. And so I might have had a little something. And I was on that Clay Perry diet. And And so I have this moment, right, where I'm stoned and I'm like, hang on, wait a second. I haven't invested in like any of my friends. Like, why haven't I invested in my friends? Like, these people are awesome. And but by the way, it wasn't even just like my friends from real life. It was like my friends on BitClout. So like all of a sudden I'm like, and I wasn't like super messed up or anything. I was just feeling a little bit emotional, right? So I was like, oh, let me go like buy a Craig coin and buy like a this person coin and that person coin. And dude, I can't tell you, Tiger Boy, how good it felt to do that. And so I think sometimes when we're in the moment, it's like hard to remember. I still think I need to be better at, which is why I'm saying it out loud in case it can help any of you as well. When we talk about like what's the best thing we can do for new people in the community, like it's giving them that dopamine hit of like, yo, we believe in you, like we're invested in you, and you just got money, and we are gonna hopefully make money off of you being great because we believe in you. Like, there's no better cosign than that. So I think that that's a big part of it too.
Oh no, thanks, man. I put it as whaling, just being a whale for somebody at $10. You buy, you spend $20, you buy Twitter coin, you're a whale for them. So
Totally.
hey,
By the way, I'm not like some huge stone or anything. It's just every once in a while you gotta loosen up a bit. Turn on that Clay
no
Perry
judgment,
video.
no judgment, man. No judgment.
No, I just know there's a bunch of young people on the call, and like I really do try, and I do lead by example. But a little creativity every once in a while. Hey.
Thank you, Tiger Boy, for the question. I'd like to ask everyone who is going to ask another questions, please be short because, of course, Jake has some stuff to do ahead, and so I think we are quite restricted in time terms. So please be short.
Yo, so I don't have a question. I just want to say, first off to Jake, it's great seeing what you're doing right now. I think you're an inspiration for the whole community right now. And I want to say everybody who's here right now, I think you're a lucky motherfucker. Like this, you couldn't have been here. It couldn't have been a better timing to be here. That's it.
Thank you, 24, for your remark.
Kate, you have a
Kate,
question?
Kate,
hey.
you can ask.
Yes, hi. I'm sure this is for Jake or for Clay. Hey, Jake, thanks for everything that you're doing, and Clay, you too. So I love, I love the community. I've seen community formed in other crypto projects that have very strong communities, like this. But I guess my question is, Clay, do you have, it's like, do we have a person, whoever it is, do we have a creator that has made money? Like I know, Clay, you talk about how you weren't able to ever make any money before by the likes on Instagram or whatever. It's like, what have you, I guess I just want to ask, have you made money, and how have you made money, and how has it been in a different way? So if you said to somebody, and I know you have all your adventures out there with, the house and, that you're going to have, et cetera, that are kind of quote unquote off platform, but just to keep somebody on platform, like what would be the procedure to like walk through a creator, whether it be a musician, an artist, an NFT, somebody that's going to do T-shirts or whatever. What's different, and how can they make money? Do we have a concrete example that we can say this is how you board? These are the steps that you walk through, and this is the amount of forget about favoritism and forget about people just plowing in money and the whole monetary thing as a workable, viable business model. I personally don't see it as a business model yet. So I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that, I have plenty of people. My friend Will Mitchell, he's made tons of money on this, kind of front running people. But just from a business standpoint, because honestly, the connections.
Kate, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry, very sorry for it. But can you proceed with your question? So we get the context, but we have more people to ask.
I think I can already answer. As far as like a step-by-step plan. I haven't, I'm not very organized as an artist. I go off feeling more than the technical side, but I will say, I have no problem in, so I came onto the platform with $150, and right now, my account value is with everything that we have, it's roughly around like $60,000, which for me is life changing. I've never been in a position like that. I don't think I've ever made $60,000 in a year. My last streaming check that I got for I think it was April was like $6. I've had plenty of streams in that time, but I got $6 for all of the streams on every platform. So, I've been here for about 3 months. I've made $20,000 a month. Most of that I'm not planning on pulling out right now. I'm holding.
That's what I say. Like, how can you make it a usable, workable?
I think you create. So I think like my two things that I tell every artist that I onboard onto the platform is, one, you have to become a member of the community, because the best asset that BitClout offers is the relationships that you create here. Because it's meeting people that are in other, whether it's, engineer or a developer or, whatever people do here. There's so many different ways to team up and create projects together. So I've been really good at teaming up with people who do things better than me in other areas. And I've launched projects. I don't look at the projects I've created as off platform. I actually see them as on platform projects. And that everything I'm trying to build here is for me personally, it's all about community building. I feel like the more you bring people together here, I just like doing that in general. And so I kind of brought that to BitClout, and it's been nothing but success for me here. And that, one thing like launching these projects, Founders Reward in the short term, Founders Rewards and Diamonds are the two easiest ways for an artist to monetize over here right now. And like Diamonds, the best way to receive Diamonds is to be active and to have those relationships. And the more people know you, the more they want to support. We've received donations. I think that sometimes you have to if you have an idea and it's a great idea, people will support it. And I've seen it on every project we've created so far, that through Founders Reward and donations, for the Miami trip, like that was that was just an idea at first, but we raised almost $10,000 to go to Miami. And then the leftover donations ended up feeding into the Nacho Average House. And so, when I launched 2 projects this past week, and just in Founders Reward alone, we made $3,000, which was just unreal to me. And that, like, I had no expectation of what we were going to, for me, it wasn't even about making anything off the Founders Reward. I didn't even consider that, which almost made me feel silly now. Now I understand that, the next projects we launch, when we launch All Aboard, we'll probably make somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000 just on that day of launching that project. And so I think you do have to come with a solid plan. Like I get an idea here and I go out and buy the domain. I buy like 10 domains for it. I go get the website set up, which is not me setting that up. That's a relationship that I've made. I fully lay out the idea creatively and put out the blueprint. And then I bring a team of people together to help me accomplish that idea. And then, we all split it. And
yeah, I love it. I mean, you're doing, it's like, community building is, I've been involved in that for a long time. It's like my biggest thing, like anything though, is it's got to be duplicatable, right? And it's like, how many people are going to come on and, it's like, yeah. So I love what you're doing. I guess for me, it's always just like, onboarding what to create, people who will come and people who will go, and how can they duplicate? I know you're not taking any money out, but how many people, can live on that, type of a thing.
For me, I am taking some, like tiny amounts, just to keep the ship moving. I have, like even the Nacho Average House, like we had to take some money out to be able to pay for that. But like this week, like I'm planning to move into the Nacho Average House. So I'm actually seeing it come into my physical life now. I will say, as far as like the way I try to personally build, I am trying to expose the core so that every single person that's, part of this community can learn from whatever we're doing. Even like the other day, I came up with an idea, but the idea was hoping that someone else would take that idea and build that project themselves. And they did, and they're working on it now. And so I'm biased, but I would say that the Not Your Average Call is a great place for creators to come that are looking to monetize what they're doing, because if they're, I think you still have to have a solid idea. It's not just going to be instant. I think another thing that I try to remind people is I've been doing this for 10 years. And so it's taken me literally 10 years to finally get to this point that I'm at. I don't want it to take 10 years for other people, which is why I'm trying to build avenues and lanes for whether it's Clout Records or whatever we're doing to kind of speed up that process for certain people and make it more affordable, if not free. But yeah, I think that I'm a competitor and I don't compete with other people as much as I just compete with myself. I do think you have to bring some of that spirit into this, in whatever you do. You have to be willing to put in the work and the effort. But if you're in your lane and you're right where you're supposed to be, I think as long as you put in the work, you'll see it come out on the other end here.
Yeah, I think you're doing awesome. So you have here, like, I don't know if you guys know who James Aldrich is, but you have idea sex. Come up with at least 10 ideas a day and let everybody grab them. So that's good. So I'm proud of everything.
I would say artists need to focus on the problem. Like right now, there's a lot of issues that we still need to solve as a community. And I think that not artists, but creators in general need to, the quicker we solve those problems, the more the masses will be able to show up and use the products and services that we create. And so I think that that's going to be a huge aspect of it. Is just, like the other day I started a think tank thing in here where it was like, what problem do we have on BitClout? How do we solve that problem? I do want to we have one last question. Let me get to Flick, and then I got to go eat.
I just wanted to say thanks, guys. Like the shit you're doing, Jake's dope. Hunter with Prism, dude, that shit's gonna fucking sky. I loved the call tonight. It's been probably my favorite call. The more people, the better. I like seeing the new faces. I love everything about it. The question I had was like, how is there a way like to make like smaller artists who like incentivize like for instance, like sometimes I'll go global over and over. I'll be in the brackets, but I've never asked for an investment. My coin's like $300 or something. But like, is there a way, like even like a competition type of thing, like what bot bets, like something with structure where people can compete and elevate each other's game and get to the top, like a gauntlet type fucking bracket, or like kind of like bot bets, but in a different form, something similar to that. But you guys have such brilliant minds in here. I figure you guys could create whatever the fuck we could think of, but that's basically it right now.
Yeah, man. I think, I think it's similar to Tiger Boy's question, right? It's like, what do we do to incentivize young creators? I was like, fuck it. I'm going to give away $20,000 to see if we can get people to tell their stories with the Clouded contest, which ended last night, and we'll be announcing the winners on Sunday. I think whatever people can do to, and literally, by the way, it's not investments. It's like I'm giving away the clout completely. I think like whatever we can do to do what you're saying, I guess, right? I have seen brackets from time to time. I've seen different games from time to time. I think that while we had 350 submissions, sick. I don't have the exact answer, but I think that all those ideas are good. And I think as the community gets bigger, there'll probably be more and more and more ways that it gets realized. But I'm really glad you liked the energy tonight. I had a super great time. I plan to only stay in here for an hour and cancel what I had at 6 just because this is fun for me. So hope it's just fun for you guys. And, it's awesome to come in here and just connect with some of the people where I really do feel as awesome it is to see your faces and that we connect on a social platform. I think we're building something together. And I think that's really what's most inspiring.
Yeah, I to add to that, like I would say it's just, for me, I keep it really simple, but it's just add value. I think that's the only thing that I can think of that I've done other than work really hard is just add value to the platform. Especially in the early days, I think NFTs are going to create a new space for creators to monetize what they're doing. especially because it's going to be incentivized by it's going to be incentivized for the creator and the investor, from what I've heard. And so I think that, there's also going to be so many more platforms built, whether it's what Jake's building, what we're building over here. We're going to continue to build things that are focused on bringing everyone to the table and getting everyone involved. And so I think that it's going to be, it's just going to be stuff that we build and the value that we bring to the platform that continues to drive, money to things. I think that's the way we, attack it. And then Jake, thank you so much, man, for coming through.
So we have Maverick.
Jake, can you answer one more question? You got time for one more?
There we go. Sure. Last one, then I got to jump. Let's do it.
Hey.
What's up, man?
There's a significant amount of pressure going on here.
Oh, dude, you're good, man.
I really won't take too long here. I do want to especially commend you and the other creators. It's not easy at all to make an entire platform that's built around smaller creators to begin with. So it just the whole thing before BitClout even happened, it just seemed daunting, and you had to find those algorithms, and you had to find, like there was a way to game the system for everything. And even here, it's kind of a thing, but in other social media platforms, you had to know the right people who had already, done those courses, worked their way up. Now they have contacts with people. And the way you get contacts with people here is you talk to them. That's crazy. You just talk to them. You're done. You engage with them, they engage with you, and they're friendly and you're friendly. And then you get investments and you work together, and it's weird. It's weird how easy it is. Like everyone else was talking about how they didn't get paid for anything. I've landed video game deals on consoles twice, didn't get paid for it. We're still getting thousands of streams a week because of it. Haven't gotten paid for those either. But I got close to 5 digits just sitting in there right now. I was looking at making $5 and calling that a win. And now it's close to 5 digits, and it's just I've been here 2 months. Like it's awesome, and it's empowering, and it feels good, and there's confidence building. And then now I want to contribute back, and I never could have pictured that before. I never thought I could get addicted the way I have here. So I want to reach out and say thank you for everything you're doing. I want to pick your brain along with 20 other people at some point. I'm enthusiastic as hell. I love this idea. But my question, I'm going to keep it short for both of you. What size shirt y'all wear?
I wear, I'm a medium, and I wear a large or an XL. I'm like one of those people who likes the big ass t-shirt.
I'm an extra medium, so send me a large.
Okay.
Large typically, sometimes XL.
Gotcha. All right. I will.
Thanks for the great question. We all want to know more about Jake and Clary, about their personal lives and what are they wearing. So summing it up, I'd like to say thank you, Jake, Clay, Mark, for being here, for helping Cloud Forum to be awesome, and for contributing to the community. And I'd like to say thank you to all the participants on Natural Average Call who is today with us and asking questions and being active. And I hope that Jake enjoyed our session, and I hope that we can come up with something else.
I want to shout out Wendy also. She was supposed to be a speaker, and she's been modding the chat for us. So I really appreciate all the work.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy, very much.
Fun night, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you, Jake, again.
Have a good one.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
And who's feeling that afterglow?
Clay.
Yes.
Can we try to do the stream right now just to check for next sessions? I will
I
give
have to
you.
go grab some food right now. I've been like putting that off for 3 hours now, so I will.
Yeah, I was about to grab something
I'll
too.
be back here in a
Shit.
little bit.
It's 10 o'clock.
We do have it set up. I had no idea what I was doing with that stream, so I had to kind of like figure it out while I was doing it. But yeah, I will. We can come back on here in a little bit and do that. But I'm gonna go grab some food real quick.
Yeah, of course. Just tell me when
hours.
you will come back so we can do it.
Yeah, I'll probably be back on the call in like 20 minutes. But
Cool.
only